Okay, so today what I have is an interview with the owner of the Birdcage Theater. One of the big parts of ghost hunting is actually interviewing people and finding out what their experiences are and how that relates to what's going on at the location. What's kind of neat about this is I wrote a book called Haunted Tombstone many years ago, and I talk a lot about the Birdcage Theater in that book. But what's neat is that this guy's family has owned the building for quite a long time, so he's practically been raised in the building. So it's interesting to get his perspectives on the haunting and stuff. Now, before the video starts, it actually starts late. What we're talking about is the cribs that are in the top part of the theater. They had some mannequins up there that were representing the Earps. The problem was they had the Earps in the Clanton's box, and they would come in and they would find Wyatt's hat literally thrown down into the middle of the theater itself, so it couldn't have just fallen. So the video is going to pick up with him talking about this story.
Right here. So we do that and flick it off. I think after 75 times, it was 4 times, it shows up like this, or how we're finding it. And so we move them all the way back, and the next day, not only is the hat there, but the bow tie that's safety pinned to his shirt, the bow tie is sitting there like this, and when I go to take the bow tie back up, the safety pin is even clipped shut on the shirt. So it's like, oh man, this is crazy. And that's just one of many. When I was with Phoenix Paranormal 15, 20 years ago, and I'm down there where you took your picture, and I'm sitting on the stairs, because these booths, you heard me walk in, how loud I am. And so an EVP session with me walking around, you're messed up anyway. And so what I did was I just sat there like this. And all of a sudden the smell of decomp, BO, and just nastiness all together goes right through me. And man, I just felt like I was going to puke. And I couldn't get up off the stairs. I turned flush white. The head investigator sees what's happening, and he's got a bottle of water in his hand, and he sees me and he goes, and I was like, and I took it from him. He smells it. Everybody that's standing there smells it. And there's one guy right there in that doorway, like this, listening to we're all quiet and we're asking questions, EVP session, right? And all of a sudden he looks at everybody, and everybody's kind of like whispering to themselves, going, yeah, I smell that. You smell that, And so finally, in the EVP session, he goes, what's going on? And he goes, well, didn't you smell that? And they go, no. And he goes, oh man, what did that bill? Are you all right? I said, whatever came down here, walked right through me, went through all of you all, and then went around. And the guy goes, well, it didn't come this way because I'm standing in the doorway and I didn't smell nothing. So he goes over to the first crib, which they call Wyatt Joseph's crib, and nothing. As he walks to the next crib, he gets right here and goes, oh crap. He goes, got it, like that. And whatever had walked down the stairs and around the corner went into the second crib. And it was that same smell. And then one guy walks over there and holds his breath and starts taking photographs in there and is holding his breath. And when he was done, his eyes are just watering. It smelled so bad. When I was a kid growing up here, I was 10 when I started working in here. I'm 44 now. I know I'm pretty young. It's the water. And the Jack Daniels. And so anyway, what happens is I'd come in the morning and open the door. And what was happening was I'd open the door and I'd get these hits of stale cigar smoke and all this stuff, and I thought, it's just the floors or whatever. I just kind of blew a lot of it off. And then later on, as I'm getting older and I'm still having all these weird things happen to me, I'm realizing other people are talking and saying, no, there's this going on, there's that going on, there's this going on. And I'm like going, well, I've had that happen to me. And so I was being haunted at a young age and didn't even know that it was going on. I smelled the lilac and the jasmine over here on the left-hand side like everybody else has. I've heard boots walking across the floor. They start downstairs, they go all the way up the stairs, and they walk right across, and you swear you're going to see somebody come around that curtain, and they stop, and you just go, well, hello there. And it gives you the creeps, because you know that there's somebody standing there, even though you can't see them. The most recent ones, I got back here last Memorial Day. It'll be 1 year that I've been back here since I left in about a 15-year span or so. And when I got back here, just in this last year, I've opened this door in the morning and got hit with the stale cigar smoke. The day after Eldorado, I'm standing over here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm hearing a man and woman have a conversation, either down in here or up in here. It's over in there. And all I'm hearing is like that. And then I hear the woman go, yeah, in her voice, in her feminine voice. And then she goes, you can't make out any of the words. All I made out was yeah. And that was, what was that? October 23rd was Eldorado Sunday, so October 24th I heard that. Then I was downstairs in the gift shop, and I'm sitting over there where the calculator is, and I hear white noise in my ear, like static, and I can feel breath on my neck. And I turn around, and I'm going like, what the heck? And I didn't say what the heck. And I turn around, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then a week later, there's no music on at all. It's dead downstairs. And my family likes to keep music going in this place because they had music always piping through it. It was never dead silent. Like, it's dead silent right now. It shouldn't be. We should have some music playing. But when I did have it dead silent downstairs, I hear I go, you tired? I'm to the point now when that kind of stuff happens to me, I'm going to go like, ah. Usually I go looking for it. I just automatically like, okay, I got to go see what that is. And what I did do there after I said you're tired, I went over and looked at the screen, monitor screen, and I went through the whole entire building backwards. And I came all the way up back to here. And the only two people in the building were walking straight through the door when I hit this camera monitor here. So there was nobody in the building at all. And but yeah, that stuff's pretty normal. I have heard like the EVP that's on Ghost Adventures with the card shuffling. I've heard that in the past. I've heard poker chips. The roll that you hear, I knew what that roll was when Taps was doing their show here, because everybody kept going, it sounds like there's a marble rolling around here. That's the Pharaoh table ball going. And see, we had a Pharaoh table in here years ago, but what ends up happening is it's down there, it's one of those on the wall at the Crystal Palace. And so, you know, somehow everybody got everybody else's stuff. Like, we have the Grand Hotel's grandfather clock out there, and they have our Pharaoh table, and you'd think we'd be nice and give them all back to each other, but we don't. So, yeah, that's just a few things that have happened to me since we've been back. And I've also heard the ball roll across the floor. We have that drip. And right now we're in construction. And ever since I got back, my dad's like, oh, not only do you get to manage the birdcage this time, but you get to do all these semi-projects off on the side. I put a brand new bathroom in the office. That got creepy because we got all kinds of stuff going on in here during our ghost tours. We're doing the front of the building right now, so I'm anxious to see what Nova and Laura get for the next few days, because we've ding, 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 we're tearing right into the skin of the building. And so I'm anxious to see what happens there. But yeah, and what I've noticed over the years of being here is that the ghosts have actually become Hollywoody. They like it and they love it. They're getting more and more active all the time with people. Just recently I saw 2 different photographs that really, besides yours, rocked my socks off. Right over here in this crib, there's a photograph of a woman that is looking down at you, and we have to go over it because I can't explain it any other way. She's invisible, and you see this wall that's in back of us here, that's on the back there. It's kind of gray, or yeah, it's all the way back into there, but the face is way out here, and you can see her nose, her eyebrows, her sockets, her actual eye pupils and stuff, but it all wraps right around real tightly like this, and that's it. That's all you see. And then, what was the other one? Oh, the other one, Nova. The other one, Nova, when I did take it, was during one of Nova's ghost tours, and you know, there's all this plexiglass. It can really do a lot of bad things. But the plexiglass up on the backstage, it's not just a flash from a camera. So I know what those can be kind of weird. But this is a frosted face, and it's looking straight at the people taking the picture. And you can see her eyes, her hair is all done up, kind of like what Nova's hair gets done up as. It curls up underneath and the bun in the back or on top. And that one looked awesome. And those are the two best photos I've seen in about 6 months to a year of major paranormal. I call those major paranormal because they're almost full body. Yeah, as far as pictures go, I didn't see it full body, but it was there. The girl's face was there, and it was wrapped around something. There was something wrapped around right here. All you get is the face, and you see that the hair's hanging out on top, and you can see that it's wrapped around right here like this. And then the one in the back is just a woman's face, and I swear there's a photograph downstairs, and it's probably just the hair curled up and the puffy cheeks, you know, like fed well, unicorn bread fed. And so yeah, one of those things. But yeah, we get some awesome photographs in here.
Were those walls between the cribs, are those original from the day, or is that?
Yeah, now I don't know why that crib down there is so wide. I think that the wall is actually missing from it. And I think there's a few walls because there should be, that one's kind of big compared to what the other ones are. But most of these are original. They've had wallpaper on them in the past, and most of that wallpaper has fallen off. In fact, there was a place I saw the other day, the wallpaper was turning back on that one, and I got to go have somebody re-in that back on. But yeah, it's a constant chore keeping a place like this up because there's always something.
I remember the first time I came here that you couldn't go downstairs.
Oh yeah, yeah. And see, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I'm getting old. Me and Nacho Montillo started working on that down there, and I helped put that in. I dredged through all that dirt. I found a lot of tickets, but I never found any gold coins or nothing like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, we had that our equipment set up over here. And then, I don't know if you were Dalvin out of Sri Lanka. He runs the radio station. Was it 93.7 or something?
Oh yeah.
But we were down here and we had Leroy with us. And at the end of the night, we're wrapping up and everyone was smoking. I came back in to get the gear. I had that footsteps up behind me, and the voice sounded like Leroy trying to leave.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, dude, we gotta get our stuff. Turned around,
Nobody there.
walked out. They're out there.
Another friend of mine who just started working here recently, me and him had this experience at the same time, was Mikey. Mikey's deaf in the ear. He's getting ready to go up the steps in the morning. He comes in, he picks up all the garbage, checks the lights out and stuff. As he's going up the stairs, he goes, "What ear was it that you were whispered in?" And I said, "Well, why?" And he goes, "I got whispered at too." And I said, "Okay, what did they tell you?" He goes, "I couldn't make it out." He goes, I said, "Was it like white noise?" He won't know what white noise is. He'll go, "I don't know what white noise is, but it was static." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I said, "That's the same thing I had happen, but I had it happen downstairs." And I said, "Could you feel?" He goes, "This guy is like right here." He's whispering like that. You can feel the breath on your neck as they're talking to you. It's not just, in your ear. It's also the air hitting your neck, and you're like going, "Ooh," it's just way too close. It's, they're in their comfort zone, and you're like going, "Okay, that's a little too close for me." But yeah, other than that, the music, my mom used to hear music back here. One day she was getting ready to close. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This is how to tell you that things happen in the morning as well as the daytime. And a lot of the stuff that's happened to me has happened during the daytime, because when I was a kid growing up, we didn't have ghost tours in here and stuff. So all this stuff was happening during the day. And they say that when you're haunted during the day in a building, then you're haunted at night. True haunts go on all the time. And so that's what makes me believe that this building is so haunted, is because we have had most of the stuff that has had happen to a lot of us here happen during the day. And so we were amazed when we had Nova and everybody started doing ghost tours. It was like, what are we going to find out at night? Are they going to have full parties in here, and we're going to see full apparitions dancing and screwing and having a good time? I got a friend that went to MMI with me, Motorcycle Mechanic Institute, and he lives in Michigan. And he told me, he goes, "I'm coming out there to visit. When I come out there," he goes, "I want to be sexually molested by a prostitute." I was like, "Well, dude, you got a long way to go."
That costs extra.
That's
a lot more.
Extra. Yeah, that's changed and then some.
So really the major modification would be, of course, this wall.
The two major things that they did in 1934 was put the wall in and then electrify everything.
Right.
And then we re-electrified, and then in 1975 they put the water sprinkling system in. And 1980 something, 85, they put the first cameras in. We're getting ready to redo those.
That would be interesting, especially if you could record those.
Yeah, well now Dean, you know Dean probably, the guy with the beard, he was just leaving.
Yeah.
As you guys, Dean, off this camera right here, sees a woman. Okay, now I have never seen a naked tourist in this place yet. Okay? Dean sees a gal walk from, he's downstairs in the basement where the camera is. He sees a woman, bare ass naked, with just like little lace on and something covering her, but you can still see her breast through it. Walk straight around across here like this, pause for a second, and you keep on going like this, and walks right through the other wall. Bare ass naked. And
He needs to record that.
Yeah. And then when I got back, Dean called me one day, and there was a little boy over here playing peekaboo. His head would stick out, and he'd catch it on the camera. And he goes, Billy, there's somebody downstairs playing peekaboo. And so what ends up happening is I come back here, this is since I've been back, and the first thing I did, I didn't see no kids, so I whipped out my camera and I started taking photographs immediately. And there was not even anything on the camera, so by the time I had already got back there, it was already gone.
Do you know if any of these groups coming in and try trigger time?
For a second, I'm sorry. The downstairs bag is not correct. Do you want me to fix it? And there's not even, he didn't even do a tape on it. So do you want me to fix it and then recount the...
Yeah, fix it and recount.
This is just like $10.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you wanted me to just go ahead and fix it and just do both tapes.
yeah,
So everything is right.
fix it. Yeah,
Okay.
fix it.
Yeah.
Do you know if anybody else is trying any trigger tests here?
Trigger. You mean like ERE? Or,
Like trying to sing or dance or offer
Well, I know-
whiskey.
I know Laura in the past, which we had to tell her to stop. The thing with the whiskey is, the whiskey and the cigar, when I was a kid growing up, we tried using like whiskeys and cigars, and of course don't film it. Edit that out. No, we used whiskeys and cigars when I was a kid growing up, or my dad would tell me if you knew that. Now we can't because it's a tinderbox, okay? And they won't let us get away with that. The whiskey where you pour it out into a cup and just let the aroma go. And then I used to smoke cigars as a kid, the long, what are those wood ones that are kind of cherryish?
Yeah.
I used to smoke those a lot, and we'd get a lot of weird stuff. Dressing like this helps. Wearing guns help. Even so far as using an old deck of cards, like we have the reproduction decks, the ones that you have no numbers on them, they help throwing them out. Poker chips help. Dean's even gone so far to use for an ERAQ as a pair of cuffs, old-timey iron shanks, and throw them down on the table and just use them. But there's all kinds of stuff you can use, you know. And I don't know how you guys feel about, I'll tell you what I like a lot, and a lot of people look at me like I'm nuts, is on my Android phone I use Ghost Radar. And we were up here one night with Nova, and I'm just going to mess with this, because it tells you right on there that it's more for entertainment.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of this is a coinky-dink, but it's happened more than once now, so that's why it kind of makes me wonder. We're on the backstage. It's Wednesday night, and it's live mic night down at the Dragoon Saloon.
Right.
So we can hear them playing. You can hear Dragoon Saloon like they're in the
next
parking
door,
lot down there. And so they're playing Johnny Be Good. And the girl goes, I have a question. Can Ghost hear us as well as we hear them if they're on an EVP player or, on a recorder? And we're sitting there, I don't know. And all of a sudden it goes, Johnny Be Good, like that, And at that time it goes, Johnny, like that. And I go, well, there you go, right there. And that was the EVP just right there. And I was like, it could have said a gazillion other things, but it turned around and said Johnny. Then there was another time in here we were doing something. I was talking about Johnny Behan, and then I get a name of Johnny's friend, and we looked it up on the internet, the name, the first and last name, and it threw us back to Johnny Behan, and it said through the Johnny Behan thing that we read that his best friend was this name. And we're like, that's kind of weird. You know, because I mean, unless they're beaming something right here to us on a satellite, I don't know how else ghost radar works. But I like it. When you're not getting hits on your K2 meter, you can almost use that as an indication to help asking for other things that might get something started. Lately, we've been getting that mysterious drip noise again. I've checked this whole sprinkler system out right around where that so-called Johnny Ringo is, right there in that crib right there. And then it starts there. The lights go out. We sit there for a while, and all of a sudden you get a drip in that box seat. Now, I've looked all over, been up in the box seat, looked around for wetness, nothing. Okay? Then that drip moves from there to the back of the hearse. From the back of the hearse, it'll drip into the tub. And it's just a drip, drip, like that. It's the darndest thing you ever heard in your life. And it's a real faint kind of thing. And both Nova and Laura have told me about this drip. So, because that's one of the first things I started hitting when I got back here. I thought, if we've got a leak somewhere, this is a pressurized system. It shouldn't just drip.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's what's interesting. But I thought, well, maybe there's, something has eroded away. The head's getting loose. The mercury in the head is starting to deteriorate, and we got a drip. Let me go check it out. Not at all. It's a mysterious drip. I kind of think sometimes that it could be a tapping noise of something trying to communicate, but I'm not sure. I let you guys do all that.
On the original theater, was there a backstage door?
Well, backstage door. The way you would get out of this building is where that lady, where Holly is right there, where that lady is taking a picture. That door was the way out in the 1880s.
So that was the back door, literally, and then the gift shop.
Beyond that, there was no gift shop and there was no document room. So when you walked out that door right there, you went to the shit houses. And there was like 12 holes for a guy and 7 for a girl.
Just out there in the back.
Where those trees are back there, where those mesquite trees are, those are shit houses.
I have kind of a question for you. You mentioned trigger testing. We have some gals that sing and are pretty lusty in our group, and we were wondering, do you have a problem with one of them being sitting on the edge of the stage?
You gotta be real careful going through there.
Okay.
You can sing anywhere on the stage. You don't have to necessarily be right there.
Okay.
And because we had a guy one time who flung through there, and I think he'd been drinking. And what ends up happening is he falls on our piano. I thought for sure he was gonna kill our piano. So we do have, it's kind of iffy. Nova likes to brag she's the last one. There's one other lady besides Nova. We don't argue about that danced on the stage. But and then Paula came in one time and danced on the stage. We go there. I know we're not the last one to dance on stage. But otherwise, I don't normally care for people to be right there. But you can be anywhere on the stage because literally it wasn't. See, the stage. Everybody thinks they got to be right there where it's the Birdcage Theater. Really, about where that curtain is. Maybe a little up closer than that or farther back than that because you had so many drops. They didn't necessarily have to drop the curtain right there. The curtain could drop farther back as well.
Right, because the stage went back, right? Yeah.
If you look on this backstage here, you'll see that there are other backdrops that are set up. You see,
Right.
the way I was told...
These are the flies right here.
Exactly.
Those are the flies.
And the other thing I was told about, too, the reason that this is so deep is because from about here back, I do it this way, from about here back, right about where this post is right here, all the way back around here, they had little cubicles back here. And that was for them to come back here and change clothes so that they could get ready for the next act. They were on stage ready to go. That's what made this so cool. The stage was deep, and they did that for a couple of reasons. One, you could literally have everybody standing right here and pull this one up and have another set ready to go without people walking out and getting ready for it. They could pull one down, one went up, one went down, one went up, and the people were there ready to go. And then you just kind of moved off stage. So there was a reason that they made the stage so deep. One is so that you could change clothing back here. Two, you could get away from the stage and actually be off what we call off the stage and come back around this way. So,
How did they get this in there? This Just out of curiosity.
They would have, how they did that was, they do it just like if you're going to jack a motorcycle. You put big long pieces of wood post through, and you get a whole bunch of guys to lift up onto the stage. And then what they did, once they got onto the stage, they could roll it. When I was a kid growing up, we still had this backdrop down here, or maybe here, this one. And the hearse used to be over here. And then we moved the hearse to the back because it was getting too vandalized being right here. So we put it in the back.
Yeah, put it over. Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, there was a lot more room back here. We had one of the beds downstairs right here when I was a kid. And then we reopened the basement, we reopened the cribs downstairs, and then we moved stuff around. But there was tons of room back here. You would come in, we actually made it another room. You could actually come in through here, you got to see the hearse, you saw a couple things here, then you walked in through here, around here, and then the bed and everything was back in here. And then you could, then eventually, we put all this up, went back around and went downstairs. I like having the downstairs open, it's so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of, they say there's a lot of creepy stuff here, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on downstairs. I'm a big fan of downstairs. Okay, so did you still need to interview me?
Okay.
You want to go down into the office?
Yeah, that's fine.
Are we good, Cody? Did you need anything else downstairs, man?
No, they got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, we need to arrange some beer drinking time before I go.
yeah, that's cool. We got, crap, I've been over there twice already today. I had to find out all the local gossip. They're trying to find a guy here in town that beat the crap out of his wife last week, Mr. Jingles. And the cops are looking for him today. And, there's just tons and tons of fun in this town. Somebody asked me once, goes, what are you doing out here since there's nothing we're allowed to do? Well, you either drink or you go to the ghost tour. There you go.
Why did you move the building?
Did you already go through?
Did you already go through? Yes. Waiting.
Crazy. All right. Oh yeah, you can just shut that.
It's okay. She's not gonna come in. She's not gonna come in.
I don't have a lot of seats in here. Did you need a chair? No, I can get you one over here.
Do you have a pen in your purse, though, Wendy? I might.
Probably doesn't help when you drink the beer and Jack Daniels. Yeah, after I did that, they were so, the Mexican people, they said, no, this is not the right shot. We have to do it this way. And I'm looking at my niece going, really? We can easily do this in 1 or 2 takes, I mean, we're pretty easy going around here. And they were like, oh, no, we have to do it this way. And I was like, oh, man, you people are like worse than Hollywood, man. So it took us forever to get, we only did like 2 takes, or 2 shots in 2 different places. But man, we had to do that first take like 3-4 times. And I was like, really? I was like, come on. But I can understand too, because shooting in the back of the building was really hard to do because of all the fiber, or the glass back there. The plexiglass will put, I can 9 times out of 10, nobody gets mad at me, and so does Laura, because I'm one of these real non-believers. I will turn around, somebody will show me something, and I'll go, dust. And they'll go, are you sure it's dust? Yeah, that's dust. That's definitely dust. Well, are you sure? Because we came from the East Coast. I don't care if you came from the North Pole. That's dust. The orbs that I've seen in this building are usually yellow, green, or blue, and they have a membrane inside of them. It looks like if you're looking through a microscope of blood, and you will see bubbles and stuff in there, and you'll see stuff in it. I mean, I've seen people blow them up to where there's faces smiling back at you in orbs. I had one lady one time at the OK Corral turn around and send me one, and it was an orb, and it was like this big around. It was a good sized baseball, and it was next to an Ocotillo, and you can see that just gives you the perspective of how big the orb was versus the Ocotillo, because she still had part of the Ocotillo blown up with this orb, and there was a face in there, and he just all smiling, like had a couple teeth missing. I was like, oh jeez. That's good. That looks westerny right there.
So my first question is, I would say we'll base this off the last 3 months, which I know here is probably, a lot can happen. But what are personal things that you've
In the
encountered?
last 3 months? See, you need to talk to Nova and them.
Or how about the last 6 months? You've been back a year?
Been back a year. Yeah, the last 6 months, that's probably better for me because I can't remember yesterday, but I can remember 6 months ago. That was the whispering in my ear in the gift shop and the lady sign and the stale cigar smoke were the first 3 things. And it was funny because my niece was with me that day. My niece works at the candy store with my sister, and she had followed me over and was yapping at me about something. And we opened the door to the front of the building, and she kept real quiet, and I was quiet too, because in the mornings, if I don't have my coffee, I'm not really friendly to talk to. And so I walk inside, and she didn't say anything. She went and sits down over here at the bar, and I turn on the lights, and the first thing I do is open the door every morning. And I went, ooh, haven't smelled that in a while. And I shut the door like that. And she goes, Uncle Bill, she goes, do you smell the stale cigar smoke in this building? I'm like, oh, do you smell it? I said, yeah, it's real good if you open the main door here. And she goes, oh no, when you open the front door, she goes, I could smell it then. I said, is that why your mouth quit moving? And she's like, yeah. So, yeah, stale cigar smoke is probably the number one thing for me that hits me. What else?
How often would you say that happens?
When I was younger, it happened a lot more than now. It's only been probably once or twice since I've been back in the year. What else? The whispering in my ear, that's been in the last 6 months. And the lady sign was in the last 6 months. Oh, and hearing the man and woman talk was October 24th.
Wow.
Yeah, how I remember that is because I don't have a last year's calendar. I do believe that September 23rd was a Sunday, which would have been the last day of Eldorado. And so that Monday after Eldorado would have been October 24th, and that's when I heard the man and woman doing the Charlie Brown talking.
How long do you think it lasted for?
It was a man asking a woman something, and it was all pondered around a question because you could tell how it was. He started out saying something that sounded like a question. She said, yeah. And then she gave her opinion, and that was it. It died. And then I even thought at first that maybe it's somebody behind my dad and back here at the house, behind Dad and Paula's house. But then when I went out to look, when I came back out and looked around and actually went down to the gate, I thought maybe it was Janie talking to Mikey or something. Janie's car was gone. So then I called her and said, how long have you been gone? She goes, oh, about 35, 40 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, you weren't here when I heard that. So, no, I do. I am not one to leave stuff questioned. Sometimes I will because it's just like, okay, never mind. I ain't even going to mess with that one. But normally I'm pretty skeptic. Ever since I started watching Ghost Hunters, and my wife wants me to go out for Ghost Academy. She goes, you're going to win. She goes, you're gonna take it. She goes, you'll be a shoo-in for sure. I have my own ghost stuff. It's all right here. I have everything from I have my headphones to listen to my EVPs. I have my K2 meter in here. I have my flashlights. I even have a digital recorder, and I even have the regular flashlight. I can't find it, so that I can actually barely turn it on and try to get. I've never had anybody be able to turn it on for me.
That's one of my favorite things to try to.
Yeah, I love that. The day that I have that start happening, I'm gonna start dancing in this place.
When you do EVP, have you had any recently or in the?
I haven't. Nova's had some awesome ones.
Oh,
she had a little boy recently that says, "You have a really big heart." Let Nova tell you that one. It makes you almost cry, and I guess the sound of the kid is really innocent. And then she could tell you a whole bunch. One where somebody's laughing and goes he like 17. No, it's a clap. It's a clap, I think, and they do this, and we count like the clap as being 17 times or something crazy. The best one me and Nova heard, ladies came in twice, and this is since I've been back, and they asked, they started their EVP session early because everybody who had been on the ghost tour has been on Nova's before, so she cut back on the history, and they just went lights out early. Because normally when you go lights out, you already hear the dong on the grandfather clock. That grandfather clock came out of the Grand Hotel just before it burned to the ground. And one of the questions that were asked, because they were already in lights out, and then it became 9 o'clock and it gonged, was, do you like this clock being here, or no? Do you like this clock working here now? And you can hear just as well as I'm talking to you guys, it's a godsend. Just like that. I mean, and it's funny because Nova was listening, and they asked a question before the clock gonged, and you hear the answer to the first question. He goes, no, like that. But they weren't listening. They want to hear something that's going to come out and say, you got to leave now, loud. It's like, no, it doesn't always work that way. But when they heard it's a godsend, they kind of got all excited. And so Nova's sitting in here in this office with me, and she has my headset like this, my earphones on. She goes, don't you hear the no that they asked you in the question before? And they're like, no. And it's like, I want to hear. And sure enough, she goes, well, she didn't say that it was no first. She said, don't you hear the answer to the question asking you before? And because a lot of times, if we're together, we won't tell each other what they're saying so that we can hear it. And so I threw on the headset and I listened to it and I went, oh, wow. She goes, what are they saying? What are they saying? I said, they're saying no, huh? And she goes, yeah, they're saying no. And I was like, cool.
Do you guys post these on the website or anything?
No. We get this stuff happening all the time.
It's old news to you.
It's like that. No, we really, we don't. We should do more, but the problem is there's just so much going on. We're a historical landmark first, and then we're paranormal second. And anymore, I'm going to have to do it the other way around. I really grew up doing the history, and I've had to read all these darn books and everything. So, but if I have one more 13-year-old girl come in and say, "Did you get to meet Zach? He is such a dream." I'm like, yeah, I get tired of that.
Did you get to meet Zach? He's such a dream.
No, I'm just kidding. Did you get to meet Zach? Because, he's such a dream.
Well, I feel sorry for you,
Your turn,
Hoss.
he's their dream, right?
I feel sorry for you, Hoss. You have to put up with this crap all the time. I do. Yeah, I ask people if I've met, Jason and Grant and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm really not in. I don't mind doing paranormal stuff. I think it's really cool, but I am really not into where it's taken a lot of these people because it's made it really popular. I don't know to this day how anybody can hold an EVP session with a camera guy making as much racket as they do. And why don't they put these camera guys up front first? If they would have had the camera guy go up the stairs before Jason and Grant did, they would have seen the lady in white walking down the stairs. But no, let's look at Jason and Grant's forehead and butt, shall we?
Well, they do it for entertainment purposes
I know,
only.
But it just chaps
but
my ass.
It does us too.
I want real.
We don't want that. Yeah.
I'm way too serious. I want hard facts. I want to see something flowing across the stage.
Yep.
Oh, I did have something else happen to me talking about flowing. I have never said that I've seen, well, I have always said that I've never really seen anything, and I'm still not sure about this one. But it was a brown mass right over where those two pianos are, where the St. Episcopal thing is. And it's weird because I still think it's from lack of not having coffee that day, but I opened the door and I looked there and I went, well, that's weird. And I said, are you guys trying to show yourself to me? And I said, really? 44 years and you're just showing yourself to me? I'm hurt. And I talk to them just like that. We don't really provoke. We don't have to. Laura goes so far as to walk in every day and goes, and Laura, she's kind of out there a little bit. Laura's a lot different than Nova. Laura will turn around and go, today is May 13th. It's Friday the 13th. We have 8 people on our tour, and I think we're going to do very well tonight. And she will do that every 2 to 4 hours as she comes in from 2 o'clock all the way down until her ghost tour. She talks to the people, and she says that you need to remind them what time it is because they have lost track of time, and they don't really know time. And you think that we have Alzheimer's now as we're getting old and dying and can't remember crap? They can't remember anything for 20 minutes. If you tell them that today is May 13th, 2011, 2 hours from now, you would have to tell them that again. Because the track of time and periods of time, you got to remember they're haunting in the mornings or haunting in the nights. I don't even know if they can keep track of daytime and nighttime. It'd be interesting to see if they could do that, if you could actually hold some kind of EVP session and go and turn around and go, so do you like it better at night than you do during the day? I've never answered that question, and I never asked that question. I'd like to hear an answer to that. Do you actually know what time it is? I mean, could you, if you could talk to us, do you think you could tell us what day it is? They'd probably tell you it's June 17th, 1881. That's when they opened the Birdcage. You know, I don't know. It's funny because you can't. You can't supposedly when you're in that realm, when you're stuck in what I call purgatory, and you're here. And now the thing is here is I had 2 mediums come in this year already since I've been back, and the first thing they told me is they said, well, we asked if we could pass anybody on, and I was like, oh, Dad's not going to like that very well now, is he? You go taking the ghost and making him go to heaven or hell, that's going to kind of cut down on ticket sales for the ghost tour, don't you think? And she goes, none of them want to leave. And I said, well, I don't think I'd want to leave here either. Kind of a creme de la creme of the, you know. I said, my luck is I will be stuck in a residual effect going, and I'll just be working here. At least the old ghost got to party.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, this is gonna suck. Yeah. So yeah, as far as that, I'm trying to think of anything else. I know my sister got really wigged out one morning. We were in here at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and this is another thing, because I don't know how much Cody believes in this, and we were doing the ghost radar, and we had it both on my Android and my niece's Android BlackBerry. I made sure she got the same as I did. In fact, I just upgraded her ghost so that she gets her. She had Classic, the free one, but the new one, the EVPs actually stick into the EVPs. You can play them back. They actually stick so that you can see the time, you can see the day, and you can see how many EVPs you got in that time period that you turned on Ghost Radar. And it's like 99 cents for an Android phone if you have an iPhone.
Do they do it each month though?
No, it's a one-time.
It's a one-time?
It's an app.
Because
Yeah.
I have the free on mine,
No,
I didn't want to do it because I thought you had to pay.
99 cents to buy the other one's
The
better.
upload.
The other one's better.
Okay.
You can actually watch the lines. You can see how it's searching for words, and it'll go ja 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 ja, and where it's trying to make the words pop up, and then the word pops up, and then it slowly melts away, and then it gets stuck. And if you leave it on, your bar across the top will say you have 5 new words. If you don't turn it off, your app off, it will keep going and tell you you're having more words. I've left mine here and let my battery damn near die. I had the first day, April 1st, I had 12 words right off the bat. And they didn't really know what it was, so they kept calling it a universe and an atmosphere because it's round. They had no clue what it is. So I sat there and I explained to them. I said, this is called Ghost Radar. And I said, what this does is this lets me know when you're coming around checking me out. In the mornings, I'm in here by myself, and I leave that door open, and I'll sit right here, and I'll see everything from looking through the window here, they're looking at the window in me, to in that bathroom when we first got the bathroom done, and they'll stand right there in the doorway. I was like, come on in, don't be scared, grab a seat, let's talk, you know. I said, give me a word or something, and then it'll go like, what? You know, and I'll say, okay, well, I don't know, what do you want to talk about? You know, I do. People probably think, man, this dude, he's really like drank his brain cells to pickles. But yeah, no, I do it all the time. It's something that I've kind of, you know, gotten used to over the years being here. You get used to it. My daughter never got used to it. She always used to carry a little cross in her back pocket, a little rock cross that I purchased years ago, and she used to carry it in her pocket because she used to get the willies coming up the staircase onto the backstage, trying to cut back down in onto the floor. So, and she said, I always feel like there's somebody watching me. And to this day, I have that feeling. There's some days it's worse than others. It's almost like you're getting too much of that paranoia, electricity feeling, you know, when you got too much not EMF, but when you take the EMF detector and you don't run it across anything that has high EMFs and you're getting that paranoia kind of feeling, you get that a lot in here. And I've checked it out with my EMF detector. The only place where it spikes in this whole entire building is right there at the junction box. You walk in the back of the building, it's not spiking unless you're asking questions, and it's giving you answers. Now, I have had that thing go off before the lights even went out. Then the lights went out, and then it was dead. It was like, no, we don't want to talk to you now. You guys turn the lights out. Okay.
So I'm just curious, how many confirmed deaths do they have here?
Well, there was 26 people killed and 1 woman that they know of. There were 16 gunfights, 7 fatal, killing 26 people and leaving over 140 bullet holes throughout the walls, ceilings, and floors. Yep. Now, the thing that I've also noticed, and I figured this out years ago too, is we have kids that play in here that are spirits. We have a dog, a dead dog, which that could go all the way back to the 1880s, because as they were doing one of the shows, Uncle Tom's Cabin, and Eliza was going across this imaginary bridge with this real carefully trained bloodhound at its heels. The dog barked real lot, and the guy was all drunk, and he was all out like that. And when he went to get up, he said, "Make that damn dog stop barking," and then he turned around and kind of crashed back out again. And then the dog barked again, and he just got up and he just fanned and shot the dog like that, and then fell down because he's so pissed drunk. And so what ends up happening is he wakes up hungover in jail, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm in jail. What did I do?" And they go, "Well, you dumbass, you shot a dog." And he goes, he was a rancher. He goes, "I shot a dog?" He goes, "I didn't shoot anybody but a dog." He goes, "Oh crap." He goes, "Yeah, you shot the vaudeville dog right off the stage." And so that's where we think we get our dog from. Mm-hmm. And then there's a cat that's in here. People feel like when you're wearing kind of shorts like that, and you're on the backstage, you can feel something like kind of, coming up trying to rub up against you and stuff like cats do. And then there's kids. There's both boys and little girls in this building. We don't know if that's residual haunts from kind of like the, we have a lot of viewing coffins that are baby coffins, so we don't know how much of that is residual.
Were kids allowed in here?
Not usually, not in the 1880s. I wouldn't bring a kid in here in the 1880s. That wouldn't have been really, even during the daytime, that would have been really couth.
Well, did the girls have kids, maybe?
Not most of them. A good prostitute wouldn't get pregnant. Yeah, a good prostitute knew how to get rid of an abortion, have some kind of abortion. They had everything from outhouse abortions to drinking tons of Logdem so that it would, kill the fetus and end up having some kind of a stillbirth or something like that.
Oh, wow.
They'd even go out. I don't know if you want me to tell you this.
Yeah.
No, I've always wondered.
They would even take like a clothes hanger kind of thing, go up in there and try to when they felt like they were, they weren't having menstrual cycles anymore, they would actually go so far to go up in there and try to, because they did not want to get pregnant, because getting pregnant meant that you were 9 months out of work then.
Right.
You could work up to a certain point, but most cowboys don't want to mess around with gals. There was a fine line there, just like a fine line with dating a prostitute. You still had to let her go work. And you knew that other guys were kissing on her and feeling on her and playing with her and doing, bad things. But you really couldn't. You had to kind of turn an eye on that, because that was her money. And she usually had a madam watching over her, or she had a pimp of some kind. And then the establishment she was working at was making a percentage on her too. So unless you were going to flat out buy her out from her madam, or marry her and make her an honest woman and take her away from it all, you kind of had to look the other way. Right. And some guys could do that, and most guys couldn't. They'd fall in love with these girls. Maybe you just have a one-night stand or whatever, and and then they'd get into fights with other guys, everything from knife fights, fist fights, actual gun fights, because you're looking at my girl, and it's like, that's not right. So, yeah, it was kind of a messed up situation. But a lot of these girls, you got to remember, they were still traumatized. Their brand new husbands or something said, well, we got married out in Missouri. Now we're going to go across the Midwest here, and then we're going to end up somewhere like in Utah or Colorado. And they would get halfway between Missouri and Colorado and all of a sudden be killed. Now all of a sudden the girl's having to not only bury the body or take the body into the nearest town of her loved one, she's got to ride if she doesn't have any other men around or another woman, she's got to run the horses, feed the horses, make sure that they can undo the horses. So women knew a lot more about bridling horses and stuff than most women know today, unless they're horse sobbing. So, yeah. But did that answer your question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I get carried away.
No,
it's good.
I
We like that.
Okay, Bill, back to here.
Well, it sounds like you know a lot of the history, and we love the history. We love the history.
I started reading Anne Seagray's book. What happened was when I was 10, I would get so bored. So then I started doing all the Tombstone history. Then I got bored with that, and I started reading about the Apaches. In fact, one of my tattoos is Nachis and Geronimo right here. I have them here. I've had them because I've played in their backyard for so many years. I only felt that it was, honorable that, if you're going to play in their backyard, you should have some kind of, even though I'm a white eye, you're supposed to be able to honor these people. And then I got tired with the Apaches because, you only know so much of them because they didn't write their language down. And then the Buffalo Soldiers, I tried to study a little bit at that. At that time, it was kind of hard to do. Now they have the Buffalo Soldier Museum at Fort Huachuca. I got to get on base. My buddy's coming down from Colorado Springs. I went to NAU with, and I said, when we're here on one of your days off, you're taking me somewhere. And he goes, oh yeah, where? I said, you're taking me on base to go see the Buffalo Museum. And he goes, you haven't seen it? He goes, I haven't either. We're going to the Buffalo Museum when I come back. So we're doing that in June because I want to learn more about them. The prostitution was pretty easy because Aunt Seagraves had come out with Soiled Doves, which is like the 101 to the 102 and learning what prostitution was from East Coast to West Coast, because it was completely different between East and West. And then of course behind the red light district is Ben Trawick's book, and that's all the local girls here. And I'm still finding out more and more about that. Anytime you go reading any old articles or anything, you always find out something. They didn't talk too much about like Marguerite's death. Wouldn't have even been probably publicized. It would have been local prostitute or local whore kills other whore at the Birdcage Theater. No names involved, nothing. I'm sure the epitaph has something on that. You could probably go out and find out exactly what Marguerite's death is. I don't know it off the top of my head. And then you could turn around and grab one of those papers from the Arizona Historical Society. They might even have Lady of the Evening, Marguerite killed by a Lady of the Night, gold dollar. But there wouldn't be much there. They're not going to go into all what went down because Ladies of the Evening just were not talked about that much. You kept a lot of things hush hush. But yeah, all the stuff that I've learned over the years is just from listening to Ben Trawick, listening to my father, reading tons and tons of books. Right now I'm in the middle of a Maddie book, and it's proving that the Earps were the fighting pimps. They got busted being pimps themselves in a lot of places. Wyatt right now is in Aurora, Illinois with Maddie and Morgan and getting put in jail like every 5 to 6 months. And it makes you wonder, well, what are these years that you were supposed to be skinning buffalo up in Montana and stuff? Where's that at, And so, yeah, it's shedding some new light. And Daddy Nicholas was not the most respectable lawyer in the bunch either. He was all into it too. A lot of money to be made in that. So, especially Illinois would have still been the East Coast. So, East Coast prostitution was pretty Victorian, pretty laid back. You could make some serious money versus where if you're in Wisconsin or even say Wichita, Kansas, where if you were 18, 17 years old and just a hot little filly, you would have been right out front up in the dance hall, something. But if you're, back then you lived to 45, so if you were 18, you were already meeting up with guys that are anywhere from your age, 18, 16, 17, all the way up to guys in their 20s and 30s, maybe even old guys in their 40s. And then by the time you were 40 years old, if you weren't a madam, you were considered an old prostitute. So then you ended up getting on the outskirts of town and getting out there towards the Chinatowns and the real slums of the town, pickings like coyotes. And so it wasn't really pretty after that. It got really, really bad. So, yeah, it's just something I like to do. I'm into westerns like massively for my age. I know more about Gene Autry and Rex Allen and all them, Gabby Hayes and all these people that were in the West. Big John Wayne fans. So we went to Wilcox the other day. Do you know that Rex Allen's statue actually has a heart in it because his heart was in Wilcox? So And then when they cremated him, they spread his ashes all over there. And what is it, Kinko or Coco or whatever, his horse is buried around in that area too. Wow. And also Warren Earp was killed on that corner where the headquarters saloon was in July 6th of 1900. Found all this out just going to Wilcox one day. You go there and you're dressed in your biker clothes and everybody's walking around and you're like, wow, this is really cool. And it's like, is that a 6-shooter? Yeah. Can I see it? And you're like, yeah, sure. And Amy goes, oh my God. And so I go, wow, it's kind of heavy. Wow, that's kind of cool. Wow. Is this real? And they go, yeah. And I'll just start going, and they'll go, oh, wow. And I go, hey, yeah, this is pretty cool. That looks neat. And they're like, you've done that before? And I go, oh, a couple times, maybe, like that. And I'll go, and then I'll go like this and go, oh, gotcha. Like that, And Amy goes, give him his gun back, Bill. And I go, okay, thanks. So where are you from? I said, oh, this little town you probably don't know called Tombstone. And he's like, you live in Tombstone? Yeah. We did that once when we were up in Prescott. I walked into the Palace Saloon and I walked up to the bar and I'm soaking, drenched wet because we just rode in on the motorcycle. And I said, are them there, those Earp boys over there? And he goes, no, don't start this. And I said, wasn't one of them like a deputy marshal here in Tombstone at one time?
Oh, that's great.
And my wife's like, I gotta go use the bathroom. Where's the bathroom at? And so she turns around and goes, don't listen to him. His parents own a historical landmark in Tombstone. He knows all about these. So when I come back out, there's another beer and there's the owner of the building. Your parents own the Birdcage Theater. You had to go and tell them. You were going to let them guess. I wanted to find out how much history these people know. See if I can find something out different. And then try to go. Oh, okay. Well, if you know this and it's right, the history is right. Getting the history right is hard. That's what's rough because everybody has their own opinion. You have pro-Earp, against Earp, and it's just a nightmare.
It's all the politics behind it.
Oh,
and usually the history is whoever writes it.
Yes.
And it's great to find out the hidden histories. I love that too. It's like awesome.
Well, I'm still trying to find out. My goal is to find out something about Johnny Ringo's death. When I came back here last year, got on the internet just for shit and giggles, and just started typing about Johnny Ringo. They're still, to this day, calling it suicide. I was like, really? This DNA and everything, and we're still getting suicide out of this? His one of his gun belts were on backwards. He had the actual casing from the bullet that went in his head the first time was in his hand. His gun had no bullets in it. It's just too. What I feel is I feel that either White Earp, Buckskin Frank Leslie, or another fellow, and I can't think of his name right now. He was one of the cowboys that turned another way, had come back in, found out where he was. See, Buckskin Frank Leslie was drinking with him 3 days earlier. And that's why I kind of think Buckskin Frank Leslie had something to do with it. A lot of people, not Buckskin. Buckskin Frank Leslie went to jail for killing Blonde Molly and didn't even serve his whole term. So, yeah, I totally think Buckskin Frank Leslie was legit enough to kill Johnny Ringo, especially after the Earps had left and everything. They knew that was the best thing to do. That would have finished off that whole entire thing. But well, I don't know if we'll ever know, but I would really like to. That's something I would really like to find something out about because that's so open. They know that Wyatt kills Curly Bill Brocious in either Iron Horse Creek or the other creek. Both creeks run parallel to each other, and they run all up in that area where they shot the movie Tombstone. They can almost prove that one from the other. In fact, I think they actually dug out some bullet slugs from tree trunks in one of the and they weren't new. You can tell the difference between new and old. A lot of those guns were cap and ball, and some of those guns the bullets are different back then. And so they've basically proven where all that went down. But when it comes to Ringo, man, somebody knew what they were doing and thought, no DNA, no this, no that. I think they shot him with a rifle at long distance, and then what they did was they went back up and put a round in their gun and shot him up close to blow his brains all over the trees and stuff.
So nobody could tell. No.
Yep. So what else you got? What
I
else?
think that's
yeah.
pretty good. I just need to to confirm the time for tomorrow night. What time you recommend that we get here?
That's what we need to do with Nova.
Okay.
Let's find out for sure with Nova. Find out
And we usually set up.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. There's a little bit of information here that's kind of not out there everywhere else. If you do like the video, please like it and subscribe, of course, if you haven't done so. That helps me keep the channel going, lets me know also what you guys like and what you don't like, so I can put more of that content out for you. And I guess we'll see you guys in the next one.